We are very delighted to welcome to this program Anuradha Goyalji, whom I had privilege of meeting while I was in India as Director General of ICCR. I have been really impressed by her work because she is very passionate, very enthusiastic, and also her creativity is truly multifaceted, multidimensional. Starting from the literary and philosophical aspects of Indian culture to most tangible and intangible heritage of Indian culture, tourism, as well as the intellectual dimension, the popular folk dimension. She covers every aspect of Indian culture, and also her interpretation capabilities and how you narrate India's story for audiences within India and audiences abroad is truly exceptional.
Thank you so much, Akhileshji, for that warm welcome. And I hope I do justice to your expectations. There is, like you know, there is so much in India. There's so much in India. The challenge is which things to pick up and talk about. But incidentally, I picked up the luxury travel segment to speak about. I was also looking at some of the numbers, the tourism numbers for both Ireland and India, and the exchange that we've had. It's been less than 50,000 people, both ways. So Ireland should expect far more because of the sheer numbers that we have. And we can definitely cater to far more Irish people. So maybe we've not done a targeted campaign to kind of tell them about the heritage and the linkages that we have. So given the numbers, the scope is huge, and someone like you and your team can definitely play a big role in creating a cultural link between through tourism. Because I always say that it's impossible to hate people you've visited. It's very easy to fall in love with people you have visited. So travel to me is an antidote to terrorism. So the people you visited, you can't hate them. So if you can't hate them, you're not going to do any of those ghastly acts against them. In fact, if you really look at the map for any country, if you look at the map of countries that we are hostile towards, are the ones where there is no tourism exchange happening. And the countries which are very friendly, irrespective of the physical distance between them, there is a lot of tourism exchange happening. So at a people-to-people level, there is a lot of exchange happening. I'll begin by saying, travel is an integral part of a human enterprise. Any human civilization, travel is a part of it. While when we would have settled as a civilization, from being nomadic hunter-gatherers to a settled civilization in any part of the world, we would have felt settled, but not really. If you look at the history, the moment we were settled, we also started traveling. We started traveling for different reasons. We started traveling for business, for trade. We started traveling for knowledge, for education. We went to different parts of the world to learn. We started traveling for spiritual needs, for pilgrimage. We started traveling for war, of course. A lot of travel did happen for war, for conquering others. So these were few reasons that we traveled. And travel as a mode has evolved in multiple ways. The way people traveled 1,000 years ago is very different from how we travel today. Today, the mass transportation options allow us to go anywhere, anytime. The borders are far more stricter. We need far more visas, but at the same time, there is a flight taking us literally anywhere on earth. So there are a lot of dynamics that have changed over a period of time. Okay, this is a bit of introduction about me, who I am. I run this blog called IndiTales, which is India's biggest bilingual travel blog. So we publish both in English and Hindi. We've been publishing it non-stop since 2004, and we did not even stop during the pandemic. We kept writing about it. Then I have a podcast called Detours with Anuradha Goyal. I curated India's first Yatra conference with the aim to revive the age-old traditions, the way they are defined in our Shastras, and we do have some reach across the board. These are my books. So I have a series of books on temples, which is what you see on the bottom line. So 3 of them are published and 1 of them is in Hindi as well. Unusual Temples of India, which is a fairly popular book because it talks about temples which are very, very unusual. The deities are very, very unusual. For example, the deity you see on the cover is called Rudra Shiva, and the whole body of the deity is made out of different animals. So it could be a Pashupati Nag, but it's a unique sculpture that is found in Chhattisgarh. Then cave temples are the oldest forms of temples. In fact, they are the oldest forms of any dwelling. The first dwelling that a man would have had, and hence the divine too, was a cave. And cave temples continued till very recent past. Nowadays, I don't think we excavate caves, but till about few hundred years ago, the caves were excavated. The one you see on the cover is a 6th century cave from Badami in Karnataka. Then Devi temples, Devi temples are very, very unique. Devis are very rooted in the land they belong to, yet they are very, very universal. And in India, we see the land itself as Devi. So we have this concept of Bharat Mata. So these temples were very, very interesting in understanding the whole sacred geography of India. Then when I began my journey, I did my first book was called The Mouse Charmers, which documented the pioneering digital companies of India, most of which are unicorns today. Lotus in the Stone is my personal journey of discovering India, of becoming a pilgrim from being a casual traveler. Navratri is a book that I had co-edited with Dr. Vivek Devaroy, and we've documented 16 kshetras, including Nepal, how Navratri as a festival is celebrated. So it's a great example of what we keep using, of a phrase that we keep using for India, which is unity in diversity. So there is a unity, the deity is same, the dates are same, the festival is same, but the way it is expressed, the way it manifests in every part of India is so different and so unique. So it's a great example of unity in diversity. Ayodhya Mahatmya, of course, as you said, is a translation from Skanda Puran. But I had the great privilege of recreating the map of Ayodhya as it is defined in Skanda Puran and as it exists even today. So I have actually walked to each one of these sites and found that it exists even today in some form and shape. How to read Indian scriptures. So for last 7-8 years, I have been reading Indian scriptures in original, and I figured out a lot of mental blocks that we have in reading Indian scriptures. So these are my learnings, which will hopefully help few people to take the next step of read them in original. So it's a very small book, which helps. So, and some books are in the pipeline. Hopefully next time we speak, this slide will look a little bigger. So why do we travel? The first question is, why do we travel? What are the reasons that we travel? So in our day-to-day life, we travel either to switch off. We are too busy and we want to switch off, or we are too bored and we want to engage with the world. So this is a continuum. And we all fall somewhere in the continuum. We have a daily routine, we have a daily life, we go to office, we do some work, we we run our households, we do all those things. And in between, at some point in time, we either want to switch off and say, I'm too tired, let me take off. Or you can say, I'm too bored, I want to do something different and let me engage with the world. These are the two primary reasons, or two diametrically opposite reasons, but they are the prime drivers of why we travel. And then, of course, within that continuum, your style could be cautious, your style could be adventurous. Some people are too cautious, they would not go anywhere except their relatives' homes. And there are people who would just pick up their bags and book a one-way ticket and go anywhere. In fact, I have myself in my younger days done travels like you just go to the railway station, take whichever train comes next, take that train and get down at whichever station you feel like and explore, and you end up discovering something or the other. I mean, incidentally, India is such an ancient and such a layered country that no matter where you go, you find something. And if nothing else, you do find a nice tree of mangoes or an imli tree or some tree where you can come back with a good amount of a basket full of fruits and vegetables with you. So these are some of the reasons we travel. Now let's look at how travel has evolved over a period of time. So Like I said, at the beginning of civilization, we were all nomads, then we settled. And once we were settled, we still wanted to engage with other civilizations, people who settled on a different river bank, and we traded. So each of us had some specialization, each of us had access to certain resources, which we wanted to trade with others and get their resources exchanged, which kept getting complicated as we settled in larger parts of the earth. Once we were all settled, we all had trades sorted out. Then we started getting out for pilgrimage. We started getting out to know the world, to learn about the world. Somewhere in the 18th century, the concept of leisure travel was introduced, and it came from Europe when I think Thomas Cook introduced the concept of leisure travel, where you do nothing. There was no purpose of travel. So till now, every time we traveled, there was a purpose of travel. There was a reason you traveled. But leisure travel said there is no purpose. The only purpose is to eat, drink, and be merry. And that, with the advent of great mass transportation option, that segment started growing, and let's say pre-pandemic, till the pandemic put a pause, the leisure travel segment kept increasing, and it became a complete industry in itself, where there were hotels, there are tourism companies, there are tour curators who cater to this leisure industry, where they said you switch off and you come to us, we will give you leisure. All you have to do is eat, drink, and be merry. There's no purpose, there's no work that you need to do. But when I was studying the travel traditions in all the ancient civilized, since the ancient times till now, I was wondering why there was no leisure travel in good old days. Literally, I have found everything that we do today had existed in our earlier periods in some form and shape. So why did leisure travel not exist? And the answer I found was in experiential travel. In the last 40, 50 years that the leisure travel has taken off, people have started getting bored of just going somewhere and partying. They want some meaning. Ultimately, we all need meaning in life. And that meaning in life now is being sought through experiential travel. So all of us need some experiences which give us some learning of some kind, which we can take back with us. I should not feel that I've spent a week doing nothing and I'm going back minus a lot of money, and I'm just going back just like that. Now we want to experience the world, and that has elements of learning, that has elements of growing while I'm on a holiday. So when you think of India experiences, ideally, if there were audience, I would have asked what India experiences do you think of? Maybe you too can answer. When you think of India, what kind of experiences come to your mind? Hemaji.
Like I have not traveled that much in India, but it's difficult to explain. But when we
think of it,
like actually, I didn't get you actually what you want to
So if I say what would you like to experience in India if you've never seen anything in
experience in India? As my I am really interested in temples and forts of our kings that they have made. That they have structure is that structure is really fascinating. And temples. These both things I would really like to go and explore.
Akhileshji, anything that you have not experienced in India?
No, but I have experienced enough, but not enough. The food itself is a great opportunity for Indians to explore. Every part of country has immense richness. Also, I'm fascinated by the combination of art and culture.
Right.
So the mixture of tangible and intangible elements of culture, how they fuse in India.
Right.
The history, the contemporary and ancient both live together.
Right. So most of the time people think, at least non-Indians think of India as royal experiences of spiritual experiences. You know, spiritual tourism is our big branding because we think, and rightly so, we can be the spiritual capital, or we are the spiritual capital of the world. But let me take you to some of the experiences that you may not have experienced. So let's talk about some of the luxury experiences. Now, luxury is again something that we don't really associate with India. The overall branding of India is that of a poor nation of snake charmers. But I have traveled fairly well outside India and a lot in India. And let me tell you, nobody can give you luxury experiences the way India can give you. The way you are serviced, the way you are made to feel like a royalty, nobody else in the world can give, irrespective of how much you pay. One of the experiences that I highly recommend is our luxury trains, and India has 5 of them. I have been on one of them called Deccan Odyssey, 7 days of absolute royal treatment. The train is well designed. You have a butler to service you. You have the best of chefs cooking for you. You have the best of artists coming and performing in the train for you. And every morning you step out and you look at the destination, enjoy the destination, and in the evening you come back and it's like being it's one of the trains is called Palace on Wheels, and it's almost like living there. A lot of us have experienced 5-star hotels, 7-star hotels, you know, the hospitality, but hospitality on wheels, where you can sit inside and see the country moving by, is something that I highly recommend to anybody. And we have 5 routes to choose from. You can travel. There's one train that covers the west of India, primarily from Rajasthan to Bombay. The one which I took, Deccan Odyssey, it crosses the central part, Deccan part of India. It goes from Bombay to Goa to parts of Maharashtra. It covers. Then there is one which runs in Karnataka, Golden Chariot. There is one called Maharaja Express, which cuts through the whole of country. And I believe now there are trains which you can actually hire and get a custom journey done. They're private trains. So that's something that I really highly recommend. Then now on our seas, we are getting back to the maritime glory that we once had, you know. So when we read records of 2000 years old, we hear of the Chola maritime dominance that we had, and the whole of coast, you know, across the coast, right from the Indus Valley civilization times, we find ports. But which had been kind of defunct from a leisure travel perspective since independence. Now they're coming back. So now you have luxury cruises which run from Bombay to Goa to Lakshadweep to Kochi to Sri Lanka and other places. There are in places like Goa, you can hire a yacht and be on a trip of yourself with a small family and friends group, and a lot of other places. So these are some of the unique experiences that you may not know of. The picture on the left is a tree house in the jungles of Pench. And this is the jungle that most of the world knows as the land of Mowgli. You know, so this is the same jungle, and in that jungle you can live in absolute wilderness on these tree houses, and they are absolutely luxury tree houses. Once you are inside the premises, you will not know that you are in the jungle, except that you won't have the facilities. You won't have a television, you won't have an internet, and you have a full view. Most of the, if you see on top, it's all glass windows. So in the morning, you will see all kinds of birds. You can see animals. You will see monkeys jumping around, you know. So it's an experience, and to read those stories, sitting in that jungle is like bliss. And of course, you can go on a jungle safari. I'll take you there in a while. Below, you see a picture of houseboats in Kashmir, in few of the lakes, but most prominently on Dal Lake. This is again an experience. The interesting part is that these boats were built because British were not allowed to buy land in Kashmir. So, and they wanted to be in Kashmir. So they built these luxurious houseboats, which has now become a complete industry in itself. You can also go to, so this is like the north of India, the same kind of houseboat experience you can have in Kerala in the backwaters. So across the country, you find these luxury experiences. Now, of course, we have cruises on Ganga, on Brahmaputra, on Goa, Mumbai, Lakshadweep. You have, I guess, a lot more are coming, but the Brahmaputra one and the Ganga one are operational and you can have them. Again, I was surprised when I looked at the number, they're fairly costly experiences and they go through the places which are very easily accessible. So if a luxury cruise goes through Banaras or Varanasi, we everybody in India pretty much knows Varanasi and visits Varanasi. But I was surprised that you don't have bookings for years together. So there is so much demand for all these things. Now, wildlife of India is really, really underrated. You know, I have asked a lot of people that have you been on a wildlife tour in India? And they say, no, is there wildlife in India? Because our branding of heritage and royalty and spirituality is so high that the poor wildlife takes a backseat. But this is just a glimpse of the wildlife we have in India. Tigers, you find them. This is a tigress who was called Collar Wali, and she gave birth to 28 cubs. She recently died. You know, I've seen her as closely as you see in the picture. You know, I've seen her with her 2 cubs royally walking across in the jungles and not worried about the jeeps all around. I've seen the alpha male from you know, a distance of 4 feet. So this is the joy of jungle. So the jungles of central India, Kanha National Park, Bandhavgarh National Park, Pench National Park, Satpura National Park, you can very, very easily spot tigers. Of course, you find tigers in Rajasthan, in Ranthambore, you find them in Jim Corbett in Uttarakhand, and in jungles of Bengal for the Royal Bengal tiger. There are lions in Gir in Gujarat. There are elephants all around, you know, that elephant corridors in north as well as in south, as well as in east. You know, there's east, there's a whole corridor where you get you know, you get crowds of elephants. If you then in the east, if you go, you have single-horned rhinos, which are pretty unique to India. For birding, I can give you a huge list of places you can go to, and you can do birding, you can do birding tours, you can do bird photography. Every state of India has birding hotspots. I used to live in Goa, and I have about 15 points in Goa, which I've published on my blog, where you can simply go and sit and do bird photography. Point your camera in the direction and you'll get bird photography. You go to Odisha's Mangala Jodi. It's a backwaters of Chilka Lake, and you have to take a boat, and you are in the middle of thousands of birds. So birding and bird photography is something very, very underexplored. Fishing is kind of absent. I don't know why we have so many rivers, lakes, water bodies, ponds in such a long coastline, but nobody has really explored fishing holidays, and I believe they'll be very popular with certain categories of travelers. But and with a little bit of investment, I guess we can be there. There are saltwater crocodiles. You know, there's a national park called Bhitarkanika National Park in Odisha, and you find these 25, 30 feet long crocodiles just basking in the sun. And you have many such unique sanctuaries. You have Wildest Sanctuary in Gujarat. You have you know, double-humped camels in the Ladakh region. Very, very unique regional yaks in Sikkim animals. So wildlife is really, really underexplored. Central India, Madhya Pradesh, jungles have done very good job of promoting luxury, and most of the central India national parks have great luxury lodges, as they call them. There are Tata safari lodges, there are Pagdandi safari lodges, there are a lot of safari lodges. They not just give you a great experience stay wise, they also educate you. They take you on a walk where they introduce you to every element of jungle, not just a big animal, not just spotting a tiger, but they'll introduce you to butterflies, they'll introduce you to every possible species of trees and flora and fauna that exist. You can do a course, they'll help you with photography, they'll help you with nature walks. So that's something really, really underrated, underexplored, and I want a lot more people to come and explore these natural aspects, because it works both ways. When more people come, these parks also get preserved instead of being occupied. Then coming to Akhilesh ji's favorite part, the art villages. Now across India, I have found a lot of art villages. What if I tell you the picture on the left is actually drawn on water? It's called it's a rangoli, but it is done on water and it is done in Braj. In Braj, there is a festival during which this is drawn. They draw it on floor and they draw it on water. It's called Sanji art. Now they also do it on paper. The picture on right is from a place at a very small village called Ektal in Chhattisgarh. Now this village, the whole of this village is engaged in making this metal art, which is called dhokra. And they make this metal art using exactly the same technology or technique that was used during the Indus Valley civilization. So 5,000 years of unbroken tradition of making these items exactly the same way. There are many national award winners in this village, but they continue to work. So the whole village works. Men are doing certain work, children are doing certain work, women are doing certain work, and the whole village is engaged in this. And I've discovered many such villages across India. They don't have any infrastructure to host you. You can just visit them if you know somebody. But if we can develop them as art learning centers, it will do great for both the village and the art. Picture on the left is from Firozabad near Agra. The whole city is involved in making bangles, and it's fascinating. While the main bangles are made in small factories, the embellishment is done in houses by hand, by families. The whole city, you walk around the city and you'll see bangles and bangles and bangles. The picture on the right is from a village called Kuchipudi in Andhra Pradesh. Now, Kuchipudi, as we know, is one of the 7 classical dance forms of India, and it gets its name from this village, Kuchipudi. Now, this whole village is engaged in the art of Kuchipudi. There are dancers, there are musicians, there are people who make costumes, there are people who make jewelry. So the traditional Kuchipudi artists wear wooden jewelry, and it is custom made for every artist. So there are artisans who do that. There are people who make every little part of whatever is associated with the dance. And of course, there are dance schools, people who do. The couple you see in the picture is they run a school and they teach Kuchipudi. And the biggest Kuchipudi dancers have come from this village. So it's a great example. Even the temple at the center of this village is dedicated to Bala Tripura Sundari. Now, Bala Tripura Sundari is the deity of the performing artist. So the whole village is centered around a temple of Bala Tripura Sundari, and the whole village is engaged in some form or shape with Kuchipudi. And this is a village that can easily be visited. The picture on top is from a place called Kondapalli in Andhra Pradesh, where they make these toys. Picture at bottom is from Raghurajpur in Odisha. Now it's a village of painters. It's a small little village, a little away from Puri, and everybody in this village is engaged in painting. And these are the traditional paintings that are used. These are ritual paintings that are used in Jagannath Puri temple. So there are occasions when the Jagannath Puri is traveling out of the temple. And at that point in time, some of these pictures are placed in the Garbhagriha. And they are used in different, and they're used for storytelling, of course, that they tell the story of Jagannath, they tell the story of Jagannath Yatra. There's a particular painting called Jatra Patti, which describes the pilgrimage to Jagannath Puri. So if you are somebody who's traveling who's yearning to meet Jagannath, and then you're traveling to Jagannath Puri, it tells you that when you enter the city, the first thing you will see is the flag. Then you enter the city, then you will see 18 Nal, a bridge, and then 18 arched bridge you will see. Then you go further, you will see this. Then it is all depicted in form of a painting. Okay? So it's one of the better preserved villages in terms of art villages. A picture on right is from a very, very small village called Ranti in Mithilanchal. And the painting that you see is called Kohabar painting, which is done, it's a wedding ritualistic painting, and each and every part of this painting can be explained in terms of what it means. There is a meaning which invites fertility and prosperity for the newly married couple. And this you will find in the Madhubani area of Mithilanchal. You'll find it in most homes. You'll find the walls profusely filled with these kind of paintings, usually depicting the wedding of Ram and Sita, because that's where their wedding actually took place, and Sita came from that region. But a lot of other paintings as well you will see there. So that's one culture-rich area. The picture on left is from Shekhawati Havelis in Rajasthan. And the reason, they're beautiful, colorful painting. This one is not so colorful, but what I wanted to show you is that there is a picture of a train. If you see, there's a picture of a train, and this was painted way before trains came to India. So these were traders, these Havelis belong to wealthy traders, and they would travel around the world, and whatever they saw, they would come and get it painted. So this was their way of teaching their own people that what is happening in the world. So this talks, and so of course there are a lot of mythological paintings, a lot of religious paintings, but in between them there are also futuristic paintings which talks about creating a future. So essentially, when these would have been painted, they would have predicted that at some point in time this will be our future. Picture on right is from Vishnupur in West Bengal. These are the carvings on conch shell or shankh. There's another art form. So that's another art hotspot in India, Vishnupur district. There are a lot of them. Then let's come to the wonders of the world. And these are all temples. The first one is Brihadeshwara temple in Tanjore. The middle one is Kailashanatha temple in Ellora. And the temple on the right is the Shyamarai temple in Vishnupur. It's a terracotta temple, made in terracotta. They are wonderful temples. Like I said, I have a complete 2-hour workshop on different types of temples and how to see temples. But this, I want to show you the variety of temples. So one comes from south, one comes from west, one comes from east. North, unfortunately, not many temples are left. And each of them is, other than the stories associated with temple, other than the purpose of this temple, if you really look at it, they are engineering marvels. Brihadeshwara temple is more than 1,000-year-old. Kailashnath temple is probably 2,000 years old. And this temple in terracotta, now terracotta is a very fragile material. It doesn't have a long life, but this temple is still 600 years old. Okay, and it's standing. Despite all the neglect, despite rain and sun, despite everything, despite neglect, despite invasions, these temples are standing. I want people of the world, including India, to look at them and take inspiration and design products which can last long and look so beautiful. If we really look at the kind of aesthetics that we are creating today around the world, we're just creating glass and steel buildings. There is hardly any aesthetic in it. And these temples, these buildings, you can stand in front and feel the rhythm, their rhythm inside, resonating inside you. You can look at each and every block and and be lost in a story that it's trying to tell you. There is in the Kailashnath temple, on one slab there is whole of Ramayana written, on another slab there's whole of Mahabharata written, and then there are other Puranic stories associated with Shiva all over the place. So, you know, while they are past, while it's great to admire them, it's great to be in love with them, they will serve their purpose if they inspire us to create something at least as great as them, and something that would last as long. And this is just a very, very small sample. You can step into any part of India and you'll find many such wonders. I have a post on engineering marvels of India from ancient times to modern times. And, you know, these things are so beautiful that we forget that there is a engineering involved in it. The engineering becomes invisible. The middle one was made from a single monolithic rock, and it was carved top down. Today, we cannot even make it by using blocks. Then, of course, royalty, a royal life. Again, I don't think, like I said, the luxury quotient of India would be way above the rest of the world. And one of the places where you can easily experience it is in Rajasthan. They've preserved their, they have managed to preserve their heritage very well and also present it to the world very well. In fact, Rajasthan is probably the only state where you can literally time travel. You know, you can go back in time and feel like royalty and be treated like royalty and yet not miss your modern requirements of the day. So I definitely recommend you can choose any place. You can choose from Bikaner to Jaipur, Jodhpur, Udaipur, Kota, any place. Most of them have converted their palaces and forts into hotels where you can stay. They don't come cheap, but they're worth it. Then winters, you know, India is known as hot and humid place, but let me take you to Ladakh. So this is, these pictures are from the time I visited Ladakh in first week of January, and you can see frozen waterfalls. They look absolutely beautiful. There are frozen or half frozen rivers. This is Indus River, the river that we revere a lot. It originates in Ladakh and it was half frozen. So the blue part is the water flowing and the white part is actually half frozen. And this is also the time when you don't get crowds there. So winters in India is good anywhere, but you want to experience extreme weather, then go to places like anywhere in Himalaya, but particularly Ladakh. So I just wanted to give a glimpse that winters in India can be really wintry as well. This was, I think when I was there, it was about minus 26 degrees. Food, like you said, food tourism, while food is a part of every travel experience, but India has not at all exploited or explored its culinary heritage, you know. The food and street food, you know, both are underrated, both have not been presented well to the world. How to design, it can be another exercise in itself. And I'll in a minute come to where is. Okay, so these are some of the things. Then you can also follow a predefined trail. So for example, this person, Alexander Frater, he chose to chase the monsoons in India. So he started from Kerala sometime in May, whenever the weather department announced that the arrival of monsoons in Kerala on this day. And then he kept chasing it till he reached the North India. So that was his quirk of doing it. Paul Thoreau very famously traveled in the railway trains of India. Very recently, a lady called Manisha Rajesh, she traveled in 80 trains across India. She covered whole of India through those 80 trains. She included a luxury train. She included local trains. She included a special train. You know, in Madhya Pradesh, we have a special train which is a hospital on the wheels. So she explored that trail and she explored all the heritage trains that we have. We have 3 UNESCO World Heritage Sites as trains: Darjeeling Himalayan Railways, Kalka Himalayan Railways, and the Nilgiris Railways. So which are a great, they're like toy trains, but they give you a great experience. So railways is another way to experience India. Then of course you can walk in the footpaths of the famous travelers. So Hyun Sang is one of my favorite travelers, but it could be Guru Nanak Dev, it could be Adi Shankaracharya, it could be Vivekanand, it could be Marco Polo, it could be anybody, Megasthenes or anybody. The ample travelers have traveled across India and you can follow anybody's footprints. That's another way of exploring any place, but particularly India. Then road trips, one of my favorite ways to travel is to road trip because it has the potential, it has the maximum potential to throw surprises at you, both positive and negative. So these are pictures of some of my road trips. The first one on the top is from Spiti Valley in Himachal, which is actually cut off for quite some time during the year. So there's a small window in which you can travel to it, and it still has villages of 70 people each, 400 people kind of places, very, very beautiful. The picture, the first picture on the bottom is from the Konkan coast. So Konkan during monsoons is all green with lots of waterfalls. Wherever you see, there'll be waterfalls. The middle picture is from Jaisalmer, so the Thar Desert. And the last picture is the tea gardens of Munnar in Kerala. So wherever you, so these are just a glimpse of what your road trip can give you. So road trips, I have a complete post on the must-do road trips in India. So I've tried to cover every kind of road trips, including a temple trail kind of a trip, a tea garden kind of a trip, a coastal trip kind of thing. So if you find time, you can visit IndiTales and look at those road trips. And I've spoken about what exists till now. Let's look at what are the opportunities. You were talking about culinary, and I think our fruits have completely been missed. In fact, one of the UP tourism conclaves, I said, why don't we have mango tourism? The world would love to come to India for those 2-3 months of, and those 2-3 months when the summer is at peak, most people don't want to come to India. So that's the way we can capture mango tourism. Seasonal delights, there's so many of them, seasonal delights that in India, we just have to create a calendar and get people to do it. Learning holidays, every place has something to offer. So learning holidays is something that I see as a future. Most people, we don't want to waste our time, but we want to go to a place and learn something new. Silk and cotton wool. So I was looking at the trade between India and Ireland, and I figured out that we are still exporting a lot of garments to Ireland. So probably people would love to come and go on a silk route. There are a lot of silk hotspots like Varanasi, Kanchipuram, Kashmir, where the silk is woven, and you can see the whole process of how silk is woven. Or you have cotton routes, the places where cotton is grown, cotton is woven. Gujarat is a very good example of that. So those are some of the textile routes that I believe people would like to know where my clothes come from. Volunteering is picking up big time, but I have not experienced it, so I'll skip it. Then other opportunity is, of course, literary travel. Cultural exchange programs. And here I want to share an example from Indonesia. So I was part of one of these media trips, but where Indonesia had very interestingly, they invited writers, performers, musicians, artists, kind of people from few countries and from their own country. And they sent all of them together on a train. So and with not a very tightly defined itinerary. So they said, okay, you see these 4 things and you talk about it on social media. In the evenings, these are the artists available for you. You do what you want to do, And that created such a great exchange, which continues till now. It's been few years and that exchange continues till now. Because the artists will keep talking to each other. So you've created a connect, not just a transactional connect. So what most tourism boards end up doing is They invite me and say, okay, look at these 5 things, go back and write about them. Okay, which is okay, which also works in a way. Canada Tourism said, you come, we are taking care of everything for 7 days, but you decide what you want to do. We are giving you an experience pass, go do what you want to do and write about it, which worked very well. But Indonesia one, I really liked it because they created a cohesive set of people who will keep exchanging notes for a long time and create opportunities for more exchanges in the future. So I wish we can create something like this with Ireland and India, a small group of say 10 people from there, 10 people from here, and traveling together, or even smaller groups of 4 people traveling together and let's say being on a Tagore trail or being on a Yeats trail, whatever we decide. And finally, like I say, tourism is the best way to connect people, to establish peace in this world. That's it. Okay, tourism is a soft part. These are my contacts and any questions that I can take.
Anuradha, it was a excellent presentation, and we all, like Hemaji and I, were watching with great interest. We learned so much. And also I can share with you that in my previous assignments, I had the opportunity of working very closely with Government of India tourist offices. In Ireland, we don't have any presence there. And also we had many tourism promotion delegations from India. But I must share very candidly that yours was the best presentation ever that I have seen.
Thank you. This comes from my experience. Like
I
was
know,
telling Hemaji,
it comes so naturally from you, spontaneously. How you are presenting it is not like artificial creation. It's coming from your heart, your passion.
I can speak. नींद से उठा के बोलोगे तब भी मैं बोल सकती हूँ.